being real.
Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all. The big show is on the radio. This is the Rob Brown Show. And this is ESPN Upstate. Happy Tuesday, my friends. Just afternoon o'clock. I am back in the saddle again. I am Robert. Yes, this is not a knockoff imposter with a much sexier voice than Rob Brown.
You sound like the God pigeon.
This is the Rob Brown with a new and upgraded voice. I've sounded, and to be honest, I'm sounding better than ever before. Right now, this is the best I've ever said. It's gravelly, it's seductive. You know, it's just everything. This is what I've always wanted my radio voice to be. I can't yell, which means that most of you folks out there in radio land are going to be thrilled with the upgraded project because I can't yell.
All I know is I can set my levels, and I don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to touch them. This is it.
Yeah.
Because first off, if I yell, I turn into Mariah Carey and hit notes so high you can't hear them, right? And number two,
I'm calling shenanigans on that one.
You can call it, Lonzo. When we got to Sunday, when we got to the end of the final show, and it was time for AC/DC in the set list, I turned around in my bassist and said, "I hope you've got a better song in the books because I can't do this one." I literally said to him, "I know how my radio show is going to sound on, but." I am here. I am good to go. I am ready to. I feel fine. I feel fantastic. So completely and entirely recharged. You know how sometimes you recharge the old batteries away from the routine, away from the norm. So the lady Brown rolled down in the VAR, Florida, spent a couple of days on the beach, spent a day out on the boat, got to get up on stage with the boys and play 3 nights of music, and the price that had to be paid when the Piper came calling, Lonzo, is this gravelly, sexy, seductive voice coming across your speakers right now. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy, sit back, relax, because we have 3 hours of sports talk greatness coming your way, starting right now. Lonzo, how was your weekend, pal?
It was okay. It was kind of a little short because of sickness to a fellow employee, so I had to come into work. But, other than that, everything was good. I had some time outside, had a good show Saturday night. By the way, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the listeners of the Rob Brown Show who have decided to come over across the way onto WRD on Saturdays. You're making the show so much more fun. Not that it wasn't already fun. So I don't want to give Rob that much act, but it's as a result of that. I'm having a lot more fun on a situation where I'm recently alone. No, I don't feel that way. No, I don't feel that way. So thanks to Rob for being Rob, I guess.
I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, and yeah, I love the. I've seen it. We're getting a little from the RB show over to the Upstate Pulse on Saturday nights on WORD from 7 to 9. You're home for all things nerds and pop culture. You get a little taste of it here on this show. And then if you need more, you go see Lonzo on a Saturday night. It's a fantastic. We're basically the tag team of tag team radio shows in the Upstate, Lonzo. We need the belts. Just make the belts now because we've earned them. All right.
They need to be gold and gaudy. Some diamonds.
Correct. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you guys have planned, but I say we go ahead and do a kick-ass radio show. Let us begin with the way that we always begin. It sounds like this.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys hear?
in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown. Yes, it is true. It's true. True. The three things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, your family, your coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt, the things you need to know. Sam Darnold is the new starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. We knew that already. What we did not know is the mentality that Sam Darnold has taken into the OTAs taking place in Charlotte. Training camp just mere days away, followed, of course, by a Week 1 matchup against former team football Jets. And the big conversation that we have had with Elena Getzenberg of the Charlotte Observer, Rashad Beer of the Panther Nation podcast, is what is the mentality of this new quarterback? What is the mentality of Sam Darnold as he gets set to take on his team week number 1? Well, Darnold has spoken to the media for the first time since the schedule was released. And of course, one of the very first questions he got asked was, what will it be like to set up shop against the Jets? Darnold said, quote, I think it's a really good opportunity, for this team to go out and prove ourselves against a good opponent. For me as a competitor, I'm going to go out there and compete no matter who the opponent is. So that's kind of my quote. That, of course, is just the base level of what I call coach speak. Coach speak is when you answer a question with the most cliche response that is available. And so for this guy to go out there and say, hey, this is just an opportunity for me to play another game against a good team and really so there's a decent chance that Sam Darnold really does believe that. There's a decent chance that Sam Darnold really does feel as if this is just another game against another team for him to show up and do his thing. But Zoe, I don't know, man. I want Sam Darnold on a revenge tour. I want Sam Darnold to go out there to attempt to prove himself, and I want him to want to go out there and to rip the New York Jets a new one in his first start as the Carolina Panthers quarterback. I know he's never going to say it because that's not – look, you don't want to give them billboard material, right? You want your convictions to be shown on the scoreboard and the stat line at the end of the night. But, man, Lonzo, I really do hope that Sam Darnold is bringing a little more aggression, a little more anger, a little more quest for revenge into that week 1 matchup, because that is going to set the tone for what his season looks like for weeks 2 through 17.
When you look at Darnold, even before he was drafted, he looks like an arrogant punk. He just has that air about him that's who he is. And maybe he is, but he's playing it safe right now. He doesn't know what he really has yet till he gets out in the field and they actually do some real practice. But I'm guessing all that stuff comes out afterwards. And you don't need to worry about bulletin board material for the Jets because it's the Jets. But still, I think we're going to get what we want, but it won't be till after the game.
If Sam Darnold goes out there, smokes the Jets, and then comes out and is like, yeah, that's what I could have been doing that the whole time. The Jets screwed me up. I could have been bringing so much more to the table, but I'd be totally fine with all that, to tell you the truth. There's a part of me that hopes he really does do that and lights up the Jets in the process of doing it. But I want a little more. I mean, here's the thing. You say that, he had an air of arrogance and all that. And I wonder how much of that, Lonzo, was him. And I wonder how much of that was the fact that, we've talked about if you're a quarterback in New York, or, really, I think maybe New York, maybe Boston. But if you're a top tier guy in New York and Boston, this picture gets painted about you, right? Like, oh, you kind of have to have an attitude to be the guy that runs the team in a place like a New York or a Boston. And I don't even think like Chicago or LA have the same air. There's this I'll say it. There's this arrogance about New York sports fans, right? Like New York is the center of the sports world, even if the rest of us don't agree with that. Here's ultimately what this conversation turns to, Zoe. Sam Darnold has a chance in Carolina to paint the picture of himself however he wants that picture to look. He can paint this picture to look however he wants this picture to look, and I hope he takes full advantage of it, because if he does, I think the tools are in the toolkit for him to be a good quarterback, but it's up to him how he decides to utilize them, and I think that's important for him to recognize. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown, we now know the 2021 NCAAB baseball tournament, the brackets are out, the regional matchups are out as well. 3 of the top 4 overall seeds belong to the Southeastern Conference. The field, includes 30 automatic bids via conference championships, 34 at-large entrants. The first round of play, we know, is the round-robin double elimination regional format. Each of the 16 number 1 seeds host its regional when possible. Each of the 16 regionals are seeded 1 through 4. In each region, 1 faces 4, 2 faces 3 on the first day of action. The winners play each other. The losers play an elimination game. The winner of each regional will advance to a super regional. The super regional is a best of 3 formats. The winners of the super regionals, of which there will be 8 of them, will all advance to the College World Series, a double elimination format until the final 2 are left standing, and the final 2 will play a best of 3 series to determine the national champion. The field of 64 also includes 8 national seeds, which you may consider the pre-tournament favorites. They are Arkansas, Texas, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Arizona, TCU, and Mississippi State. And we know that because Old Dominion is not capable of hosting a regional as a number 1 seed, they will come to Columbia. So South Carolina is the 2 seed in the Columbia regional, but they will still be hosting. Old Dominion is the 1 seed. The Gamecocks are the 2 seed. The number 3 seed is Virginia out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, and Jacksonville will travel up to be the number 4 seed in the Columbia Regional. So South Carolina will be hosting a regional, Lonzo, but they are not the host team. Old Dominion does not have the capability to host. So South Carolina kind of catches a break, which is not all that surprising, considering most of us believed that South Carolina would be hosting a regional anyway, but their first round exit with a big L to Alabama in the single elimination round of the SEC tournament really called that into question. They basically became one of the first out as a potential host team for a regional. And because Old Dominion cannot do it, South Carolina caught a very lucky break and will be hosting, quote unquote, in Columbia. South Carolina got a real got a real break there, Lonzo. Considering when it really comes down to it, the 3 teams that travel to a regional are at a distinct disadvantage. South Carolina baseball is going to get to sleep in their own bed. They're going to get to practice on their own field. They're going to play on their own field where they are comfortable. What a lucky break for the Gamecock baseball team.
Oh, it definitely is. And when they got the call, you saw how they celebrated, and they should. But they should have done better in the SEC tournament, and they would have been the number 1. And I'm curious. You keep saying Old Dominion they don't have the capabilities. What do they not have? Is their stadium not big enough, or I mean, why can't they host?
I actually am not entirely sure, to tell you the truth. This the selection process, the selection show, dropped on Sunday. And yesterday I was on the road all day. I was down at the lady friend and I were still down in Pensacola. Had to help my mom move. She's moving, so we helped her move some boxes, and then had a 8.5 hour drive back. Didn't get in until late last night, so I actually didn't get a chance to watch, which I apologize for not having better details for you. I will find that out during the break. But regardless of the reason, what a lucky break for South Carolina, man. What a lucky break for the Cocks. So we're going to talk about them later on in the show as well. And finally, item number 3. Zoe, have you ever said something to your wife or a boss or a coworker? Have you ever said something that you, as soon as the words escaped your mouth, you were like, I should not have said that. This is going to cause a fight that I did not want to have, and I regret that. Before that person even responds, you're like, oh, crap, I regret that decision. You ever said something like that?
I have, but more so I just say dumb things that people look at me like, wow, you really are an idiot. But yeah, I on occasion I have in anger, maybe even on the air, said things that I shouldn't have said, or just said something that was just dumb, and then it set off a fire that it was, could have been avoided.
Isn't it weird how we are communications professionals and yet still say some dumb things most of the time? It's something I found in college. I
received many beatings as a child for my smart mouth.
Yeah.
So I have no control over it sometimes. I've gotten better since in radio. It's all about timing. But there are sometimes that thing just jumps out there and it's too late.
Yep, that's fact. Well, one NBA general manager has said something that I think is going to cause his job to become much more difficult. Over the past few years, we have seen the age of player empowerment really around all of professional sports and to some degree, even down into college sports, with the conversation ongoing about NIL laws, about the potential for players to begin unionizing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one NBA general manager told Isaac Schotner of the New York Times that, quote, player empowerment is a catch-all for the fact that the league has done a terrible job of empowering teams. The players have all of the leverage in every situation. I think it's the worst thing that ever happened to professional sports on all levels, end quote. He just told the players that he thinks it is a terrible thing that leagues have empowered players to be able to take a little bit of the control over what happens to them, their future within the league, etc. Said that it is a terrible thing, the worst thing to ever to happen to professional sports, that these teams have allowed players to have a voice in the way that the leagues are run, in the way that their careers are run, etc., etc. So I got news for this NBA GM. If it is ever discovered his identity, it's going to be really difficult to convince superstar players. And let's be honest, the controlling of your destiny, your future, the ability to have a say in the way the franchise runs is even more influential amongst top tier players, especially in the NBA. This NBA GM, if his identity ever comes into play, is going to find himself having a very difficult time trying to convince new players to come play for his squad when he's telling them that he thinks them getting a voice is the worst thing to happen to professional sports. I don't know who this GM is, Lonzo, but I really, really, really hope he's not in charge of my team.
I see what you're saying, but you know what? If those purse strings are loose and he's willing to throw some extra millions at someone, they're going to be willing to let that go because it's really about the money in the end.
You're not wrong, but here's where you get into kind of an intangible conversation, though. Like, it's one thing for my paycheck from the team to have a lot of zeros on it, right? Obviously, that's the thing. But if we're in a day and age of branding, right? Of building a brand. Look at LeBron. I think we could argue at this point that LeBron's as concerned with building his brand away from the Lakers as he is winning championships with it, with the movies and the acting. You look at James Harden showing up in commercials and endorsements everywhere. These guys are trying to build their brand so that they can continue making income when their playing days come to an end. If you are telling a player, and I don't know that he is saying that this is part of it, but if I was a player, I would consider it that way because I'd rather be safe than sorry. If he is telling me that the empowerment of me as a player in building that brand and being able to set myself up for success after basketball when very few players are able to carry their career into even their mid-30s. Forget their late 30s like LeBron, right? LeBron's 36, and we're talking about him like he's ancient at this point. Most guys are out of the league by 30. Most guys. And if you're telling me that my empowerment to be able to help build myself into making money after the league, so I'll give $3 or $4, $5, $6 million back to the team if I get a say in what happens to my ability to make money after it's over. I'm just saying if this GM is in charge of my team, I'm looking for a change now. I really am. That's not a great way to approach that.
Well, I'm just someone who wants to be led. So, so I don't need a say.
That's why they put you with an elitist, Lonzo, because that's what I'm here for. Right.
Haughty intellectual.
I am the lunchtime messiah. You will acknowledge me. If you don't watch wrestling, I sound like a real jerk right now. If you don't watch wrestling, I sound like a real turd. All right, let's do this. Let's take our first break of the day. 844-477-3776. I'm going to lean over. I'm going to get a lozenge. I'm going to knock back a cough drop because, ladies and gentlemen, I refuse to do anything but provide you with 3 hours of sports talk excellence, and it continues right after this break. I'm Rob Lonzo. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show.
Listen on your Amazon or
And those of you on the stream, I'm right here. I had to lean over to pick up some cough drops, and I didn't want to make you see the side of the doughboy that is Rob Brown while I was leaning over to pick these up. So I'll be back in 20 seconds. Hang on for me.
Yes, Brian, I did. You know what? I did not, didn't pay for the pay-per-view. I almost was going to, and came right down to the wire. And this is going to sound like old man here, but I was extremely tired from painting all day, and I didn't want to pay the money and then sleep through it. And so I didn't. Now I regret it because everything I've seen from the AEW, from the results, look really cool. But they threw up some videos, including Urban Meyer in his office when Jericho and MJF come in. Have you seen that, Rob?
I have not watched AEW because I was working that night, but
you can find that clip. You can find that clip everywhere.
Handing the laptop to Jericho.
Yeah.
So Jericho could beat MJF with a laptop, which was hilarious. I don't like Herb. I'm not an Urban Meyer fan.
And I thought of you when I saw that because I know you don't.
I'm not an Urban Meyer fan, but him handing a laptop to MJF so MJF could to
Jericho.
So Jericho could beat MJF was a you know what, that was a moment that I'm like, Fine, Herb. You know what? You get a 1-day pass. You get a 1-day pass from me.
After Jericho threw a couple of footballs at MJF, it wasn't bad form really from a Canadian hockey guy. And he caught the balls and he threw them, and it looks like that hurt really bad too.
Yeah, I mean, he was pegging MJF.
If you've been hit by a football before, you know that it can hurt if you're not ready for it, and that was point blank range too.
Jericho took nothing off of those either, man.
I am thinking the footballs hurt worse than the laptop.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I just love the premise of Herb just sitting in his office with his assistant coaches at 10 o'clock at night, and in come two wrestlers beating the hell out of each other. You knew he was going to get involved, right? Like the Cons want the Jags involved in that, and I would too. If
30 seconds,
they're in like a fantasy world, owning an NFL team and a wrestling company to get those guys working with each other on both sides. But man, how great was that moment?
I'm just glad that the boys are still together and didn't have to break up. We have breaking news. Rob Brown has no voice.
Yeah, that news breaking about 29 minutes ago here on the Rob Brown Show, NESPN Upstate. At Rob's Grandma Picks, which, by the way, so my flag, our new backdrop should be in momentarily. Should be here any minute now. At Rob's Grandma Picks on Twitter said, "Welcome back, Don. What did you do with Rob's body?" And the gif of the Godfather. Listen, I have an offer that you can't refuse. Sit here and listen for another 2.5 hours and be rewarded with a phenomenal sports talk radio show.
I think you sound a little more like Dom DeLuise from Men in Tights, but that's just me. And now you got a lozenge.
You know what? Oh, I absolutely do. I don't know. I don't know, Zoe. I don't know that I would. I'm going to get through this show. I'm going to get through it no matter what it takes. But I don't know that would be possible. I would like to thank the sponsor of today's show, Vicks Vapo Cool Hydro Soothe Lozenges, which I got up out of bed. I got home last night, and this is how I knew I was in for it. So I got into bed last night, and if you've ever driven 8.5 hours in a day, you know it can take a lot out of you, right? Got in bed last night when I got home, dropped the lady friend back off at her house, came back to the Casa de Love, hit the hay. All I wanted to do was lay in bed, watch 2 hours of Sports Center, because really, I'll tell you the truth, and this is probably not something that I should acknowledge. Don't know if I have a choice. Zoe, I didn't watch sports at all this weekend. Honestly, I didn't watch anything. I basically watched what I could see from the stage that we were playing. Right, there were a couple of TVs on the couple of TVs on the back of the bar that I could see, and so basically my exposure to sports this weekend was whatever was on Sports Center on the far side of the bar that I could see. I watch no sports, which makes doing a sports talk show, if we're being honest, a little difficult, but we figured it out. And so I got home last night and thought I'm gonna just watch some Sports Center. I'm gonna go through my websites to catch up on everything I missed. And as soon as I lay down, I'm like, you know what? I better go ahead and go grab some lozenges now, because if I don't, I'm not going to get up in time in the morning to go get it. I know me. I got to be in front of the computer at 9. I'm going to get up at 8:58, throw on a hat, walk to the couch, and be in. I better go ahead and grab the lozenges now. That was the only way I was going to make it through today. So, y'all thank Vicks Vapor Rub and throat lozenges for getting me through the show today. I know nobody cares, Lonzo, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It wasn't an option.
I want to hear you say, all those years, me and Jersey have been friends. You've never invited me over for a canoe.
You come today on the day of my daughter's wedding and ask me to do a radio show for you. What if this was my radio voice? I don't know if it would be better or worse. Oh, well, maybe I'll do a whole segment like this later.
So it's very smooth. If you were introducing, like some Luther Vandross or something, it'd be all right.
You know what? Maybe I'll just do the rest of the show like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. All right, when we come back here in it actually doesn't hurt as much to do that, to tell you the truth. It really doesn't. Coming up in the next segment of the Rob Brown Show, Naomi Osaka has dropped out of the French Open. And part of the reason that she dropped out of the French Open is because she refused to speak to the media after the French Open. She refused to speak to the media, citing her own mental health. And apparently, the French Open officials basically told her, hey, look, if you don't, we may very well just bounce you from the tournament ourselves. We may very well just kick you out of the tournament ourselves. If you refuse, that's part of the job. That's part of the gig. That's part of your responsibility to play in this tournament. So, did the French Open organizers overstep their boundaries here by threatening to kick out? By threatening to kick out one of the biggest names in tennis and remove her from this tournament or does Naomi Osaka have a responsibility to speak to the media? Does she have a responsibility to talk to the media and to the fans in order to be a part of professional sports? I want to address that and the discussion that's been ongoing now regarding the mental health of athletes in high pressure situations when we come back in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo back in the network studio. And you, friends, are listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker.
Hello, Miss Lisa. Brian. Oh my God, I didn't even recognize Brian. That was Charlie Strong. That's right. I didn't even recognize Charlie Strong. I like Charlie Strong, man. I like Charlie Strong. That dude has I mean, I know he's had opportunities as head coach, but the when he was at Texas as a head coach, I don't really ever think that he got the opportunity to flourish the way that I think he could. Years ago, he got a shot at the head coaching job at an ACC school. I was down in Florida broadcasting at the time, and Charlie Strong was considered a front runner for a job at an ACC school and ended up not getting the job. And I talked to multiple media members from that school that covered that school, because Charlie Strong was thought to be the favorite. He was the Vegas favorite to get the job. And there were multiple members of the school that said that Charlie Strong did not get the job because a few, not many, but a couple of very high power boosters, old money within the college in question, basically told the school that they did not want him in charge of that job. They didn't want him to get the job, and they would pull their funding out if he got it. And I asked them why. Like, why would they threaten that? Why would they elect to do that? And the response, independently of each other, was that a couple of the boosters did not feel comfortable having an African-American coach with a white wife representing them as the face of their football program. And they would not give money to the school. I don't name the school. I've been asked a couple times, why don't you just out the school? And I'm not going to name the school because I don't know that's 100% true. And I don't want to throw them under the bus. If you already know, you already know. And you probably know that story. But I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I don't know for a 100% fact that it's true. But I did get it from multiple inside media members who were very close to the program that was the scuttlebutt floating around that program, which, if true, is very disappointing. Then he got to Texas, and Texas is notorious for basically having their boosters be in charge of the decision-making process. I'm talking all the way down basically to almost damn near coaching the football program. And, Charlie Strong really didn't have the power to run that program the way that a head coach would need to in order to rescue Texas, which is part of the reason that Texas is still down and out, right? Every year we hear Texas is back, but the fact that they basically allow their boosters to call the shots, including who is and is not on the coaching staff outside of the head coach, it's not a great situation. It's a real good way to doom your program to mediocrity, unfortunately. And that's basically what's happened. Zoe, did you see the fan run onto the stadium at the 76ers Wizards game?
I did not.
So this dude it's like midway through, I want to say the second or third quarter. And this fan just starts running out on the field. He runs out and he touches he jumps and he touches the backboard. And a security guard comes out and lays him out, man, like a perfect form tackle right out onto the baseline before cops come up and arrest him. But that is the 6th incident in the NBA postseason where a fan has done something crazy. What is going on with people right now?
It's freedom after COVID is what it is, and people don't know how to handle themselves. They've been cooped up for so long, and they're using it as an excuse. And once one person does it and they get publicity, then all the copycats come out. You think the security guards, they sit whatever sports, sit back and go, today, man, today's going to be a day. Fans coming on. I'm going to take them out. You watch. And they're pumping each other up. I'm going to get them. You wait your entire career, and there's your opportunity. You got to take them down.
That security guard was ready, man. Was ready. He put the brakes on.
Rob can read, so he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com
Golf
and
card
we'll
in the
put you
next
to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
So the French Open, one of the Grand Slam tournaments of tennis, is taking place. And Naomi Osaka withdrew from the French Open yesterday. She revealed on the eve of the tournament a few days back that she would not attend any press conferences after tournament matches due to mental health concerns. After skipping the mandatory media event following her first round win over Patricia Tig, she was fined £10,600, which works out to be $10,600 also dollars in American money, whatever the value is. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, it's like $15,000 or $7. I don't know. It's somewhere in between those two amounts. Anyway, the big news was that Naomi Osaka was threatened with disqualification from the event. They were going to expel her from the event. Well, Osaka revealed that she has been suffering from bouts of depression since 2018 and says that she will take some time away from tennis. She said, quote, "I never wanted to be a distraction. I accept that my timing was not ideal and my message could have been clearer. More importantly, I would never trivialize mental health or use the term lightly. The truth is, I have suffered long bouts of depression since the U.S. Open in 2018, and I've had a really hard time coping with that. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm introverted, and anyone that sees me at tournaments will notice that I'm often wearing headphones, as that helps dull my social anxiety." And she went on to say, basically that she was sorry to anyone that she offended by that. She did not mean that as an arrogant slight or anything of the sort. She just meant that standing in front of the media takes a lot out of her. She said, I always get really nervous and find it stressful to always try to engage and give the best answers that I can. So, quote, here in Paris, I was already feeling vulnerable and anxious, so I thought it was better to exercise self-care and skip the press conferences. I announced it preemptively because I do feel like the rules are quite outdated in parts, and I wanted to highlight that. I wrote privately to the tournament apologizing and saying that I would be more than happy to speak with them after the tournament as the slams are intense. I'm going to take some time away from the court now, but when the time is right, I really want to work with the tour to discuss ways we can make things better for the players, press, and fans. Anyways, hope you are all doing well and staying safe. Love you guys. I'll see you when I see you, end quote. And that is kind of kicked off a firestorm of discussion, Lonzo. Folks have been asking, should, whether it's tennis players or NFL players or whatever else, should it be mandated that they speak with the media, or for the sake of mental health, should we allow players, if they are uncomfortable, to not speak to the media and just go straight to the locker room and go home? And, it's one of those things, my gut reactions, though, my gut reaction was, I understand, right? Like, I understand that some people, fortunately, I've never, I had a really bad year before I got here to Greenville. So I've been in that spot where life is tough, but I don't suffer from clinical depression. I've never been diagnosed with clinical depression. And so I don't know what it's like to go through that. And I know many, many people do struggle with that aspect of life as an unfortunate reality that they have to deal with. But the other part of me, Zoe, that pops into my brain is, yes, but the reason sports exist are for the fans, right? The reason professional sports, from tennis all the way through, exist is for the fans. It's for those of us that love sports to have that level of enjoyment. And we want to hear from the players. We want to know what's going on, why, how, when, et cetera, et cetera. And when the athletes go out in the dark, all we have is the sports. So I guess the question becomes, Lonzo, should we as fans be happy that these athletes are just playing the sports and not worry about whether we're here from the not? Or is there some responsibility from the athletes to get on the podium, to give us answers, to talk to us about what went right, what went wrong, why, how, what they were thinking, what they were going through, et cetera, et cetera? Is there some obligation? Or should we be more understanding of athletes like Naomi Osaka, who say, look, getting in front of it, Zoe, you know about this. You've done it before. Standing in front of big crowds makes you nervous. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I completely understand what she's going through. And, a lot of people don't understand how I can sit here and talk in front of thousands of people. And I've been on stage before, but it's completely different than sitting up there or standing up there and people asking you questions. The fear and the dread that goes through you, and you don't understand, because I saw some recent videos of you on stage, and man, you don't care. And I wish I had that, but there is a nervousness, there is a fear, you almost feel like your heart's going to stop when you have to talk in front of a group of people. So I definitely understand what she's talking about. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Ricky Williams who used to do interviews with his helmet on?
Yeah. Yeah,
because you can't. It starts at a young age when you're asked to go up to the chalkboard, and a couple times I was up there in tears because I would get up there and the nerves would hit me so hard that I couldn't think, I couldn't operate, I couldn't function. So I definitely understand how she feels. Radio has helped me a great deal, but there's been a few times where I've had to go up and talk in front of people. If I had someone there to help me, like a broadcast partner or something, I could get by, but me on my own, I'd just as soon pass out than do it. So I get her fear, and people who don't understand that dread that comes upon you, I think you want to say maybe you're insensitive, but at the same time, if you've never felt it, and you can't describe it. So I definitely get it. And I think there are exceptions. I mean, does she require to, does the media require or the sport require them to go get diagnosed as having social anxiety disorder and then they're no longer required? I mean, if that's what it takes, that's fine. I'm sure she would do that. But dude, it is so scary, and there's no way to describe it. Yeah, so I feel for her.
Yeah, it's and look, I'm fortunately, I don't have that issue, right? Like, you can put the Triumph did it a couple of weeks ago. You put me in front of a stadium of 5,000 people, the microphone, and I'm totally fine. I'm totally comfortable to go talk and command the attention. But I also understand there are people who are the exact opposite. I had a broadcast colleague back down in Destin, was the same way. He would not, Lonzo, he would not come on remote. Like, he forfeited going on remotes. And for those of you not in the know, like, we make pretty good money when we go on remote. We get a little extra money for going out on remote. He would forfeit that money because for him, the extra money of going on a remote wasn't worth the dread, the panic that he felt when we would go live on the air, sitting on a stage at a bar with a bar full of people looking at us, watching, just talking, right? He didn't have to interact with the crowd. He just had to talk, but he wouldn't do it. He would stay back in the studio and do his half of the show from the studio. And if the couple of times that he had to come out in public, so he would break out into sweats, man. Like, he would start sweating profusely. Yeah. He would hide himself. He would literally open his laptop. I remember this cat one time, so put his laptop, but he put like 3 books on top of our broadcasting position in public so he could raise his laptop and have the screen be between him and the crowd so that he couldn't see them and they couldn't see him. I understand that it can be truly terrifying for people. And I take athletes at their word. If Naomi Osaka says that this really messes with her head, it would throw, if nothing else, it may very well throw her off the game that she wants to be able to play in order to win the French Open. So I understand that, but I also understand, Lonzo, that these athletes are putting on a show for us, and we want to hear from them, and we want to know what's going on, and we want to know their mentality and how they feel going into these events, et cetera, et cetera. We want to know where that comes from and how it's working out mentally for them and all that. And so I guess the question becomes, is that a requirement of the job, right?
And see, the other problem with it is you don't know when this is going to come on. You saw me recently in a meeting when it was just you, me, Diesel, and Mark in front of the salespeople, and they were on Zoom, and we couldn't see them all, and I was a nervous wreck. And I joke about it, trying to lighten the mood, but it scares me to death. So I completely get where she's coming from, and it's not consistent. And you do understand that there are certain situations like the one she's in, or if it's like I've had to talk in front of people. I had to talk in front of Burns for their award ceremony, one of the years that they won the championship. And there were like 200 or 300 people out there, and I leaned on the podium, talked really slow, and was shaking the entire time. So I get it. And I think people need to be a little more understanding that it is a problem, and there's some slack.
Yeah. But I agree with that. I agree with that entirely. But if you're the French Open, right, this is a face of tennis. This is a new upcoming rising star in the game. And when you don't have them in front of the media, you only have them in the tournament. And you don't have the storylines and the drama that come out of having these athletes talking about the tournament itself. Again, the French Open threatened to expel her from the tournament. It is clearly that big of a deal to them. Is this one of those times that you go, hey, this is a requirement of the job, right? Like, Lonzo, if one of us had social anxiety to the point that cracking open the microphone and going on there was a terrifying experience for us, we wouldn't have this job, right? That's part of the job. In fact, it is the majority of the job. Is there a point where an athlete might get told, you are great at this sport, but unfortunately talking to the fans is part of the job, and therefore you're just not cut out to do this job, even though you're talented enough to do it? I don't know. That's a tough conversation to have to have, because when you get into the lines that you're discussing mental health, they get very blurry, especially if you don't understand. Marvin on the stream just said, I am an introvert. I struggle with social anxiety as well. I definitely understand where she is coming from. Yeah, she's not alone in that. I've worked with people like that before. But do the athletes owe it to us to take up a microphone, or should we just be satisfied with seeing them play on TV? Quick break. Back after this to wrap up that discussion next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Golf cart.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
2021 Upstate Golf Card remains on sale, ladies and gentlemen. 9 rounds of golf for $99. You are not finding a better deal, not just in the Upstate, but anywhere around the country. You're going to get to play 9 of the most beautiful and prestigious courses in the area for just $99. That's less than $15 a round, less than $1 a hole. That is over 75% off what it would cost you to pay for a greens fee at each one of these courses. It is a phenomenal way to get out there, enjoy the end of spring. We're close to the beginning of summertime. And what's better than getting out there and playing a little golf, man? Get out there with your buddy, with your significant other, with your friends, with your family. Knock some golf balls around and enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Go to upstategolfcard.com, upstategolfcard.com now through Father's Day. By the way, oh, wow, speaking of that, just got an email in. By the way, now through Father's Day, these cards are just $75. Just $75. That's less than $9 a round. Good luck getting a deal for that. If I told you could play a $9 round, you'd call in sick from work for the rest of the day right now to make it happen. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. Upstategolfcard.com. It is the 2021 Upstate Golf Card.
One minute.
1 minute. Oh, man. South Carolina's first regional game is on at 4 o'clock on Friday. Zoe, do you want to? I'm going to send in credential requests. Do you have any interest in going to any of the regional games over in Columbia? I can put us down for passes. A little college baseball.
Well, I'm supposed to be on vacation next week.
10-4.
And if I am on vacation next week, I will be away.
Yeah, the games are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and if the game 7 is necessary, Monday night.
So you're talking about this week?
Yeah, this upcoming weekend.
I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
Foresight, everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Again, apologize for my voice. Hopefully it'll be back to normal by tomorrow. There will be no, Rob gets off the air at 3 p.m. And Lonzo, I'm taking a vow of silence until tomorrow at noon. I'll be cutting one promo when we're done. And at 3:15 this afternoon, I am done for the day. Because this voice is I got.
You take a vow. That vow can be tested, as in people calling you on the phone or people knocking on the door just to see if you'll say something.
100%. It's going to be very interesting trying. Well, I'll be hitting the grocery. I can't even do fast food because it won't be tough. I don't know. I bet I could. I don't know if I could do it. 3:15 till noon tomorrow without saying a single word. It's going to be tough. My mother's going to call me at some point,
Especially if she's watching this.
Yeah, now she's going to just to mess with me. My mom, she might be worse than my friends. Like my friends hearing this right now are all going to be calling me. Let's tell you now, you're all going to voicemail. You can't ignore your mother though, right? Like that's going to be tough. Communicate and text only until tomorrow. All right, coming up in the next hour of the show, what the hell is going on at the NBA games? We've had 6 incidents with fans assaulting players, running onto the court, throwing water bottles at people. What is going on? Zoe and I have a theory. I don't think it's a bad one. And I'll tell you why I think that theory is legit and what I saw this weekend that proves to me when we come back on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Hey, Lonzo.
Yes.
I completely forgot I got to host trivia tonight, so I've already busted it. Good thing I didn't take the vow yet.
Yeah, I wish I would have thought about that. It is Tuesday, isn't it?
It is. I completely forgot. I was thinking it was Monday.
QC Kinetics in the first break.
Perfect.
check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Lonzo, you. Be a part of the program. 844-477-3776. 844-GSP ESPN. So the NBA playoffs are underway right now, and they have been, first off, they've been good. The Western side has been fantastic. Anthony Davis now out for Game 5 tonight for LA, so LeBron will have to carry this team on his own. At this point, Anthony Davis has missed 36 games for the Lakers this year. It is the most he has missed in his entire career. He missed 26 games back in 2018-19, 21 back in 2015-16. Outside of that, has never missed more than 26 games. He's missed 36 so far, and now a pivotal Game 5 tonight, and they have to go without Anthony Davis. But the stories in the NBA playoffs so far have been coming from the fans. It has been, while there have been not one, not two, but 6 different incidents that have taken place in the playoffs so far. And you know, whenever we have a crop of stories that shape up like this, Lonzo, one of the first things I ask is, all right, is this truly out of the norm, or are we just covering things, right? Somebody made a point to me a couple of years back that I thought was interesting. They were talking about the fact that there seem to be so many crazy people in the world, right? There's so many crazy people in the world. And he said, Rob, is it that there are so many crazy people doing crazy things in the world? Or is it just because with the advent of social media, with the boom in popularity of social media, is it just that the crazy people doing crazy things are more exposed, right? It used to be that if you heard somebody say something that was completely wild, you would go, wow, that person is out of left field. But now we come across people like that all the time because of social media. Well, is this something the NBA and professional sports have always dealt with, and we're just seeing more of it for the first time, or is this really taking off? So in Game 2 of the series between the Wizards and the 76ers, Russell Westbrook was leaving the floor with an injury when a fan dumped a bucket of popcorn onto him. Like half the security guards had to get Russell Westbrook to keep him from going malice at the palace, from getting up into the stands and wiping the scrub off the face of the planet. LeBron James stepped in, tweeted, by the way, we as the players want to see who threw that popcorn on Russ while he was leaving the game tonight with an injury. There's cameras all over the arena, so there's no excuse, because if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be on film. # protect our players. Then, in a game between the Knicks and the Hawks, everyone was talking about a Sixers fan dumping popcorn on Westbrook before a Knicks fan spat on Trae Young. A Knicks fan pulled down his mask and just hawked a loogie at the star from the Atlanta Hawks. And he did so right in front of 50 Cent, by the way, which is not irrelevant. But Trae Young sent out a tweet that said, damn, that's crazy. 50 Cent, y'all good? LOL, crying, laughing emoji. The Knicks put out a statement that said that the spectator was not a season ticket holder, did indeed spit on Trae Young, and is now banned from Madison Square Garden indefinitely. Said they apologize to Trae and the Hawks organization for the behavior of the fan. Well, just days after that, Game 4, Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics. A Boston fan threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving as he was exiting the game. A water bottle came flying in, just missed the head of Kyrie Irving. Kyrie turned. The rest of the net started looking over in the direction of who it was that threw that bottle. That fan was arrested and charged with assault and battery with a deadly weapon. Then game 4, a game, the fourth incident, 76ers v Wizards. Here come the 76ers down the court with the basketball, and everybody just kind of stops. Everybody just kind of stops moving. While in the third quarter, just over 3 minutes, 40 seconds left to play, a fan ran out onto the court, jumped up, touched the backboard, was immediately, by the way, form tackle. Security guard just racks this cat. I mean, just racks this cat. Perfect form tackle, puts him in to a full Nelson, and he is escorted off the court and arrested in the middle of the game. Ja Morant's family has been the fifth incident so far. This one covered by USA Today Sports. Ja Morant's family had flown to Denver to watch the Memphis Grizzlies star play against the Nuggets. Well, in Denver, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, Denver does have some history with this. The fans, some of the fans were harassing Ja Morant's family with what was deemed racist and sexist remarks, yelled at them during the game. This was confirmed by the Utah Jazz, who said, quote, the Utah Jazz have Salt Lake City. The Utah Jazz have zero tolerance for offensive or disruptive behavior. An incident occurred last night involving a verbal altercation during Game 2. Arena security staff intervened, and the investigation resulted in the removal and banning of 3 Jazz fans indefinitely. We apologize to all who were impacted by this unfortunate incident and condemn unacceptable fan behavior. The Utah Jazz are committed to ensuring a safe and respectful environment. And then in the 6th incident, Game 2 as well, the New York Post reported that a fan threw a beer at Emmanuel Quickly said, quote, in Game 2, somebody threw a beer or something, not sure why, not even sure who did it, but it happened. I guess that's part of having fans at the game. I've seen it happen before, and people are riled up for big games. I don't really know what's going on, though, through their head at that moment. I didn't get a chance to ask him, but they were just riled up and threw a beer, end quote. So we have had now, through the first round of the NBA playoffs, we have had 6 incidents where fans have harassed, assaulted, or impacted directly the NBA games taking place. Lonzo, have we just all lost our damn minds during quarantine? Because that's the only theory I can come up with is people, as my mama would say, y'all done just forgot how to act and are acting a fool, man. Y'all just acting a fool. What is going on?
Yeah, isolation will do some weird things to some people. And when they get out and they get wild, and I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if alcohol is involved in some of these cases, especially dude running on the court, which I did just watch, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
You caught it, but on the back of dude's shirt that ran out on the floor was a huge marijuana leaf.
Oh,
like a cartoon marijuana leaf.
Wow, not a surprise. So I'm just thinking that some of this has nothing to do with anger, just has to do with them, drinking or doing whatever they're doing, and they're just getting a little wild and out of hand because they're actually out and about instead of sitting in their own living room. And as far as your friend talking about, has these incidents become more so because of coverage? I just think of Don Hanley. I mean, get the widow on the set, dirty laundry. That's what news talks about. You don't hear the nice fluffy stuff. People just don't even hear that. They want to hear about things like that. And there are copycats everywhere. As soon as the first incident happened, then you're starting to get more and more. And I think the more coverage you give someone like that, the more people are going to go, hey, I'm going to do that next. They're telling their buddy, hey, man, I'm going to run out on the court next. What I want to know is why we just can't get back to streakers. Streakers are harmless. Streakers run out there. They accomplish what they set out to do. And sometimes they end up with, grass marks or whatever after they get tackled. But, people are not worried about a streaker being violent because everything's out in the open. And that, they're not carrying anything. They have no malice. They just want to be free. So let's go back to streakers, people.
We got the bubble-headed bleach blonde comes on at 5. She can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye. It's interesting when people die. Give us dirty laundry. Don freaking Henley reference. Bravo, Lonzo.
Yes, but it's so accurate. Being as I've worked at a news station for over 20 years. It is so accurate.
I was on TV news for 2 years, and Lonzo, you can pitch 2 stories, right? Story number 1, the third car accident involving major injury at the corner of 12th and Main, or this guy who just donated his 17th house to single mothers with special needs children. You know which one of those stories is getting picked up for the news, right? Like death. What's the old phrase in news? I'm sure you've heard it and said it a million times, Lonzo. If it bleeds, it leads, man. If it bleeds, it leads. That's a common phrase in newsrooms. If it bleeds, it leads. But look, I've been to between the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, college football, baseball, basketball. I have been in my life, Lonzo, to it wouldn't surprise me if I'm threatening 500 to 600 games attended in person over the course of my lifetime. Legitimately, since I was, 5 or 6 years old. My dad was taking me to Saints games and Braves games when I was a child. When I grew up, now going to games is one of my favorite things. And if you include, minor league baseball, if you include college sports, I've probably been to 500 to 600 live top tier college or professional sporting events in my lifetime. And I think I've probably seen 1 or 2 things like this. I haven't seen 6. I've seen probably 2 or 3 streakers. Probably seen 1 or 2 guys run out onto the court or the field with a sign to get some TV time. I've seen it. But like this is nuts, man. This is nuts. And to do it in the playoffs, it's just bananas. I gotta wonder, without having sports for the 5 months, 6 months, we didn't have sports going on at all. And then you had a couple more months of sports going on, but we weren't able to go. We weren't able to attend. We weren't able to be there for it. I kind of do have to wonder if there's some sort of folks, as Keegan just said in the chat, folks forgot how to act, man. Forgot how to act.
I do have a serious question. If you're a streaker and you're wearing a mask, are you still truly a streaker?
I'm going to say yes, right?
No, man. If you got to go full Monty. You can't be wearing a mask. If you're streaking, it's got to be all the way.
I still think you're a streaker, Lonzo, but you're a bad one. You're not committed to it, right? You're not committed to it. If you're going to be a streaker, be a streaker. Like go stones out, right? If you're going to be a streaker, go be a streaker. Like get your due. If you're going to be a streaker, you need to have the plan of attack. But more importantly, the most important part of the plan, Lonzo, is the retreat. You got to have your exit strategy. You got to know exactly where the security guards aren't. You got to know where you can blend back into the crowd. You got to basically turn into Naked Assassin's Creed at that point, right? You got to know where the barrels you can duck into are. You got to know where the fans are. And on top of that, you know that there are fans in the building who are going to help you get away, but you got to find them. You got to know where the party crowd is that will help you blend in and get your clothes back on real quick so you can bail up out of there. And if none of that works, you got to know where the closest fence and door is, right? I think people have lost. Keegan just said, I can hear the next ESPN 30 for 30 now, the lost art of streaking. None of these, we haven't had a single streaker in the NBA.
We have not.
We've had people assaulting players, but no streakers. What is wrong with y'all?
If we had streakers, would it be news? It would be, we had another streaker, and it would. Instead, we got all these idiots out there throwing things and stuff.
Right.
If Russell Westbrook was really so hurt, why was he trying to get up in the stands?
Listen,
how hurt was he?
Listen,
how hurt was he that he had to be held back?
Listen to Lonzo finding a way to turn this back around on Russell or on Kyrie. Look at him finding a way to turn this back around on the player. I love it so. Committed. I respect that. No, I will acknowledge that was also my first thought, right? Hurt enough to leave the game, not hurt enough to not go flying up the stands to fight a fan. That being said, had Kyrie gotten up there and busted that dude in the head, I would have said he deserved it. I'd have said he deserved it. You dump a bag full of popcorn on another man, you don't get shocked when he blasts you in the nose. That you're setting that up. If I walk up to a dude in a bar and I dump a bottle of whiskey on his head, I expect to go. That's an invitation to scrap. Here's the thing. When did we Zoe? I think all of us.
You know what? I need to throw something else out to you. All right. Fans being stupid has been going on forever. I was playing football in high school in the 80s. And one place we played, Steubenville, Ohio, they told us to leave your helmet on while you're standing on the sidelines. Of course, I wasn't starting at this particular game. The first time we played there, leave your helmets on. And here's the reason why. Because the fans would spit on you and they threw glass at us, including batteries. So as far as fans being idiots, it's been going on forever and will continue. It seems like there's a rash of them because it's the NBA and they're more visible. When football rolls back around, you're going to get the same old thing that we usually get, and this is not reported. Basketball is a little more visible, and it has to be COVID related as far as that goes. I think. I don't know.
Here.
By the way, glass hitting your helmet, it's a weird sound. It doesn't sound like what you would think.
So at some point in society, I think we all kind of got to the point where we make a joke out of streakers, right? Because for the most part, streakers are harmless. They know if they get caught, they're going to jail. So they're harmless. They're not going to impact the players or the refs or any other fans. They're going to get out there. They're going to shake it around a little bit, and then they're going to try to disappear. And if it's a game they play, if they get caught, they go to jail. The thing about these incidents so far in the NBA, Zoe, is that they're all very threatening, right? A guy just running onto the court and grabbing the backboard and running out towards the players. You don't know if that dude is a sociopath.
Yeah, and the security guard got him pretty quick, yeah. So you don't know what he intended to do. Remember, you're right.
He got him because the dude ran out onto the court, turned around, and jumped up to slap the backboard. If that guy was making a beeline at Ben Simmons with a knife, there was no security guard that was going to get to that guy, right? The fan that threw a water bottle at Kyrie, if that dude has a full water bottle and connects with Kyrie on the temple, that's a concussion waiting to happen. Dumping popcorn on a guy isn't the end of the world, but if you can dump popcorn on a guy, there's nothing that says you can't put some other foreign substance into that bucket and dump it on Kyrie, right? What if, and I mean, it's not meant to be a joke, but what happens if this dude dumps, some kind of skin irritant on Kyrie? So
what's the solution? I don't think there is one other than going back to no fans. I mean, that's the only way that you can 100% make sure it doesn't happen is to not have anyone in the arena, and they're not going to do that. So you're just going to have to deal with this, unfortunately. And throughout sports, I think we've been pretty lucky. Do you remember an incident, at least not in America? I don't remember an incident happening where someone came on the field and did some harm, except for a tennis player. But was that in America when that happened? Was it Monica Seles, I think?
I think so.
Got stabbed.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, look, there's always some element of danger, right? You're going to get in an NBA stadium. You're going to pack 20,000 people into a building. There's a chance you're going to let in one Looney Tune who is going to, do something dumb, do something crazy, do something evil that will impact a player, injure a player, take a player out. I mean, what happens? And I'm using them as an illustration, not that I think it's likely, but the New York Knicks are desperate for something good to happen. What happens if the New York Knicks make it to the final and a fan goes out there and, takes a dive directly at LeBron's knee and takes him out of a series, right? And I mean, yeah, I'm making an extreme example up here, but if that guy in that game, in the Wiz 76ers game, if that guy could make it onto the court, have enough time to get out on the floor, turn around, jump up, slap the backboard, take a bow to the crowd before he gets tackled, what's to say that a crazy person who puts the success of his basketball team ahead of his own safety and well-being can't run out there and take a pot shot at LeBron's knee and end his series so that his team has a better chance to win the finals? What's to say that couldn't happen? And considering we have now had 6 incidents, 6 in the NBA so far that have been potentially harmful to players, that's nuts to me. It's unacceptable.
Well, you know how to solve this. Before every game, just make an announcement. Please do not throw things at the players. That'll take care of it. That's fix it. Yep.
Joseph Bright checks in on the stream, which you can join at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, and says, you do what they do in European soccer. You start by finding the home team, and if it continues, you force them to play a game behind closed doors, and you escalate it from there. That's true. I want to say it was in Italy, and Joe, you may be able to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I recall in Italy, I want to say it was Italy, maybe in Spain, but I think it was Italy. They had an issue with fans chanting very racist chants at another team from another country. And they told the fans to stop. They didn't. They fined the home team. The fans didn't stop. So Lonzo, they said, cool, you don't get fans. You don't get to have fans in these games. And they made the team play behind closed door with no fans and said, if this continues, we will keep removing fans. You will get no home court advantage, no home field advantage. You will play without fans. I wonder if this keeps happening, if the NBA doesn't start to step in and go, fine.
But see, it's
no game 7 with fans behind you.
As far as that goes, no fans is no longer really a threat. Because it doesn't have the same meaning to it, because they've went seasons without fans at all. So they know what it's like now. So now it's like, okay, no fans, fine. I mean, it does hurt the team overall as far as money goes, sure. But as far as the players goes, they've all played now in front of stadiums and arenas without fans.
Yeah, and I know they're comfortable with the premise of it, but at the same time, like the flip side of that discussion is, you're telling me that the LA Clippers, who have won the last couple of games to get back, don't want Clippers fans in Staples Center losing their mind to help spur them on to get back into the game against Dallas? You don't think that the New York Knicks, having Madison Square with Spike Lee and 50 Cent riling up the fans can't help them when they go on a 12-2 run to put the Hawks down, to take a lead in the series? I mean, the art of having a home court advantage, and as a basketball player, I can tell you, when the fans get into it and they start losing their minds and they start popping off, it can drive you to do better. And to take that away from one team, though, while the other team still does get to get fans, right? The thing about the bubble was, yeah, the Lakers didn't have fans, but neither did the Miami Heat. The Bucks didn't have fans, but neither did the Clippers. But if we're in this spot, and the Knicks don't get home fans, but the Hawks do, that is a drastic competitive advantage. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll take your thoughts. The phone lines are open at 864-448-3772, 864-GSP-ESPN. Carolina finds themselves down in a hole. They lose game 1 to Tampa in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is game 2 already a must-win scenario? I think it is. And I'll tell you why next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
QC Connects.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
My friends at QC Kinetics have one goal and one goal alone, and that one goal is to help you live a life that is normal. If you're like me and you deal with joint pain, right? You deal with joint pain. I'll tell you this. I played 3 band shows this weekend, all right? 4 hours apiece. I played 12 hours. It's not like it's even that high intensity. It is. I jump around. I have some fun. I woke up this morning and it was tough to get rolling. It caught up with me. And fortunately for me, my normal day-to-day life includes sitting on a couch here at the Casa de Love and talking football. But I know for most of you, that's not the case, right? You got to get up and go to work. You got to get up and you got to make your way into the office, or you got to make your way out to get yourself onto the golf course with your buddies because you had a date to go play some golf, whatever you got to do. And it's not easy. I understand that. Trust me, I do. So does QC Kinetics. And that's why they're offering their non-surgical regenerative therapies for you now today. You can go see QC Kinetics. The procedure takes place right there in the office. You don't have to go to the hospital. You don't have to go on drugs. You don't have to get put under. You don't have to get sliced and diced. They can set you up to get you through this non-surgical regenerative therapies right there in the office with Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD, so that you don't have to worry about it. By the way, QC Kinetics just signed on to a guy that has used their therapy, that believes in their therapy, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer, has just said that QC Kinetics has helped him. Emmitt Smith, Good enough for Emmett. Good enough for me. Good enough for you. I promise. Check them out. Go to their website at qckinetics.com, qckinetics.com. QC Kinetics, help them get you back to feeling better naturally without that day-to-day pain. You can give them a buzz right now. Go to their website at qckinetics.com, or you can call them in Greenville and in Asheville at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that consultation underway. It's our friends at QC Kinetics. What's up to everybody watching on the stream? Great to have you along for the ride. If y'all got something you want to say, man, feel free to throw something up in the chat. We'll talk about it off the air. Absolutely.
Just a reminder, we took that break kind of late, so we still have 2 breaks left.
Yeah, real quick segment here. Actually, we'll probably do a couple of regular ones, and then we'll just do a real quick final segment.
Text us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo. And do be a part of the show, 844-477-3776, GSP, ESPN. Text to 71307 on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. I do have the text line up and working. Had some issue connecting with it earlier, but I'm good now. So here's a couple of texts that have come in so far. Let's go. ESPN, regarding the Naomi Osaka discussion we had a few segments back. ESPN, bleep the media. She should just pull a Marshawn Lynch and say absolutely nothing. Yeah, I remember. I forgot to bring that example up, Lonzo. I remember Marshawn got up in front of the media because the NFL was basically fining him for not doing it. So he sat up there and the media members would ask him questions and he'd say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That was his answer to every question. And he kind of became a bit of a caricature, right, during that part. But he frustrated a lot of people by not answering questions. And I guess that's the question that we had to ask. Do athletes have any obligation to talk to the media, right? Their job is to play their sport, to play it well. Marshawn was on a freaking tear at the time, right? The dude was in the midst of beast mode at that point. And the NFL said, you go answer questions, you get fined. So we just said, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Didn't answer questions. Sometimes just sat in silence and didn't respond at all. It was very awkward. Fans didn't really seem to have a huge problem with that for the most part. Most of us kind of turned it into a running joke, right? Like I still to this day, if somebody asks me a question that I don't want to answer, we'll just go, I'm just here so I don't get fined. It was a funny role. This is kind of where I fall on it, though. I don't really have an issue. I don't feel like a player has any obligation to me personally to answer any questions, to talk to the media. I also understand that they are human beings as well. They are not just football players, tennis players, basketball players, baseball players. They are human beings with their own life going through. If they want to answer and they want to talk, great. And if they don't, then it is what it is. Their job is to play the game. And as long as they're doing that, but at the same time, though, I also understand that for many of us, that those stories that get told by these players, those stories that get told by these athletes in front of a microphone are kind of part of the intrigue of sports. And as a sports talk personality, if every player everywhere stopped answering questions, about 25% of the topics we bring up on the show would just float off into thin air, right? So I don't know.
You know that's true, but they would continue to post on social media, so we could just talk about what they put on Twitter.
True.
So we'd be all right.
True. Fair enough. At ESPN, they should have no obligation to say a damn thing. At the same time, some players have massive egos and they want to speak. It should be optional, end quote. So, yeah, I mean, and for the most part, Zoe, it seems like based on just the immediate reaction I've gotten on Twitter, on the text line, et cetera, it seems like most of us don't really feel like that athletes have a responsibility to talk, an obligation to talk. Seems like most people are in support of the athletes of, hey, if you want to talk, and if you don't just play the game.
Yeah, but in the French Open, I mean, from the way that you read it, and I don't know a lot about the story, came across as a bully. They absolutely did, and so I think people are going to side with the player in this case, saying you will or we'll just kick you out. I mean, that's kind of bullying in some way. Yeah. Especially when you realize that this person has trouble talking in front of people. You don't say you'll do it or else. I mean, that's a bully.
Yeah, the threatening them for threatening her with expulsion from the tournament when she said the reason I'm not comfortable talking is my mental health, is that I'm struggling with depression and getting in front of a microphone. Like we said, I mean, Lonzo said himself earlier, he's uncomfortable on a mic in front of a big crowd. And if you've ever seen press conferences after an event like a Grand Slam in tennis, there are dozens and dozens of reporters all holding out microphones, all pointing cameras in your faces. It's a big deal. I've sat in on press conferences, not at the level of the French Open. One example off the top of my head, when Roy Jones fought Bernard Hopkins in Vegas back in like 2008, 2009, something like that. And I went out there. And this was, now Roy was already in his late 30s, early 40s. Bernard Hopkins was a little bit older than him. And so when I worked for Roy, I was basically his press guy. I was a PR guy. And when I went to the press conference for this fight, and was in charge of the press conference, I'm sitting up there on the stage for this press conference. So this is a fight between two boxers well out of their prime, well past the point where they were in contention for any meaningful belts. And Lonzo, there had to be 50, 60 media representatives all there with cameras and tape recorders and microphones shoved into Roy's face and into Bernard's face. I can see how it would be overwhelming for somebody who has some type of, whether it's social anxiety or depression or whatever. I have no issue with athletes protecting themselves from those mental issues, especially, Lonzo, when you are in match number 1 of one of the 4 biggest tennis tournaments in the world. You have seen media day before the Super Bowl is a circus, literally, with like reporters dressed as clowns and whatnot to get attention. I can see how if Lonzo's trying to focus for the Super Bowl, right? And Lonzo's job is to play left tackle and block for Tom Brady to go in a Super Bowl, and Lonzo's head starts swimming when he's in front of literally hundreds of media members throwing question after question after question after question and expecting him to answer them all perfectly while he's trying to focus on the game plan to keep Tom Brady's jersey clean and win a Super Bowl. I can see how that would mess with him mentally and maybe throw him off his game before one of the biggest games of his life. I think that, Zoe, is why I fall on Naomi Osaka's side.
Oops. Sorry about that, Tom. That looks like that hurt.
I like that in this situation I created, Lonzo can allow Tom Brady to get murdered and then blame it on the media. Sorry, Tom. If I didn't have to answer all those questions, I'd have been just fine.
It's a perfect scenario. Thank you.
Here's a couple more texts that have come in at ESPN. Someone had too many beers and too much yelling this weekend. And at ESPN, Zoe just tuned in. Did Rob lose his voice from his friends' reunion watch party? Quote, end quote. Thanks, texters.
So I can neither confirm or deny that that's actually what happened.
I can deny it heavily. Can deny it. Listen, your boy, kind of a rock star.
I will say I saw a posted video of you doing a Run DMC song, and you killed it.
Solid, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The motions, everything. You're engaged in the crowd, all that kind. Yeah.
Solid
I loved
work.
it. I watched it multiple times.
Love it. I got a fan. I got a new fan in Lonzo. Got a new fan. Brought the lady friend and some of her family and friends down there, and they were like, yo, we did not see this coming. It was entertaining. I know. Except for the price when the Piper came a-calling at noon today was that I sound like this. All right? It just is what it is. And no, I did not throw a Friends reunion watch party, but I absolutely am going to watch. How are we not going to watch it? Friends was a global phenomenon for what, a decade? That show was it was just a phenomenon. Everybody watched Friends for the most part. So yeah, of course I'm going to watch that. I think that's even one of those things, though, that even if you weren't a huge Friends fan, you could not avoid. Hell, they're still doing commercials as their characters from Friends. Joey Tribbiani is still. In fact, they did a Tribbiani spinoff show at one point. It was a cultural phenomenon. It was the cultural phenomenon for a decade. Even if you didn't like Friends, I still think you'd have to have some level of curiosity as to how the people who were a part of and made this cultural phenomenon what it was, how they view the show 20 years after it went off the air, right?
I haven't watched it, but if someone out there has and can tell me that Smelly Cat is sung on the show, then I'll watch it. If there's no Smelly Cat, there's no me.
At ESPN Upstate, Rob, Old Dominion did not bid their stadium. The NCAA had 20 potential sites with 16 hosting. Old Dominion was not one of the 20. South Carolina. Yeah, I knew that part. Okay, so they never actually made a bid to host a regional. Got it. Okay, that makes more sense. So they could have, but they didn't make a bid for it.
Yeah, because I was thinking, what, do they not have lights? Because there are still some colleges that don't have lights or something like that. So that's okay. That answers that.
So they just didn't make a bid to be one of the host sites. South Carolina did. And as we mentioned, because Carolina was right there on the cusp of being a regional team, but they came up just short with that first round SEC tournament loss to Alabama. They were basically next in line. So had Old Dominion made a bid, they would have hosted, but they didn't. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Lost his voice at his friend's reunion watch party. Get out of here. It's really funny, though. That's a really funny crack. I respect that crack. It's a good joke.
The best jokes are the ones where you could possibly see that happening.
Correct.
So that's why it's funny.
Correct. The best jokes are an insult that I actually have to defend myself from. He's not wrong. Oh, good. They got our Alexa issue worked out. That's good. Glad to hear that. Hey, Zoe, I do have a semi-serious question. No, it's not semi-serious. A serious question for you. Do you know anyone in the upstate who can rebuild guitars?
If you asked me that like a decade ago, I would have been able to say yes. But some of the people I know are no longer with us. I could ask around, though.
Okay.
Just ask around. I may ask Todd, or you could ask Todd.
Call. Okay.
Yeah.
Good call. I'll ask.
Because Todd is constantly getting new basses.
Yeah.
And knows a lot of people in that arena. So
good call. I will ask him. I have I play a 50th anniversary red Fender Stratocaster, and I love that guitar. But I need a guitar that is more. I need a guitar for our more metal stuff, because we do some like Metallica kind of metal stuff. And I just found it. I have a pink guitar strap body, but I picked it up used, and the neck is warped, and I picked it up with every intention of putting a new neck, putting some new pickups and a couple of humbuckers on it. And I just never got around to it. And now that I've got a little time, I want to get that pink, because nothing's going to make me happier than getting on stage to play Metallica, Alonzo, and then breaking out the hot pink guitar to do it. But I got to get it rebuilt first.
As long as you're wearing the shirt to match, although it won't clash if you do that, it's got to stand out more.
Because I usually wear we all wear.
Twitter, tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
Lonzo, I've now had all my texts since you brought it into the public spotlight. 3 requests from people to see the Rob DMC video. I'll tell you what, to the 3 of you that asked, I will find. Was it Lady Friend that shared it? Is that where you saw it, Zoe?
Yes, okay. It was.
I will find it.
I even showed other members of my family.
Did you really?
Look at this. Yeah. You told me you had rapped on stage, and now I've seen it. Yeah. And it's not just about doing it. You do it with feeling and there are emotions that go with it. So
I will find that video. I don't know. Do we post it on the ESPN page? Do I put it up on the ESPN page? I think I will.
I would say yes. Yes. We're all about self-promotion here.
Shameless self-promotion. All right, game number 1 between the Hurricanes and Tampa. Lightning strikes Carolina to start it. Tampa Bay goes up 1-0, and they are down on home ice, which is exactly what Tampa did to the Florida Panthers as well. Florida made a push in their first round series with Tampa Bay, but the Canes are not looking to compete with the Lightning. The Canes consider themselves a Stanley Cup favorite. The Lightning got through the last round by taking a 2-0 lead and holding on the rest of the way. Now, Carolina is a better team than the Panthers. All right, they're a deeper team. They don't have the flaws that the Panthers had, but they know what the Lightning can do with an advantage, especially if the Lightning completely steal. Home ice advantage. They cannot head down to Tampa with anything less than a 2-0 series. Look, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Game 2 tonight is a must-win for the Carolina Hurricanes. So if Carolina loses game 2 and they go into an 0-2 hole and have to go on the road for the next 2 down in Tampa, they will lose this series. And it will be a disappointing exit from the Stanley Cup playoffs for a team that considers itself a Stanley Cup favorite. Hurricanes coach Rob Brindamore, quote, "Nothing has come easy for this group ever. Nothing's been handed to them. Everything they've gotten, they've earned. There's never been an easy game. It seems like there has never been anything that's gone easily." Now, we know the Preds gave Carolina a very competitive series, but the Lightning are a different entity. Losing at home to Tampa Bay and some losses to Nashville feel like a different league. The Canes were resilient in the first round, but they never trailed in the series. Now they started off, and Nino Niederreiter will miss the entire series. He sustained a practice injury on Saturday. They did not have Jacob Slavin on the blue line against Nashville, but he returned as projected. But Niederreiter being out is a huge blow, a major challenge for the Hurricanes, a team that have been absolutely relentless. This is a must-win game tonight for the Canes. If you go down 0-2 and surrender home ice completely to the Lightning, you are going to be not only do you have to win tonight, but you must win one on the road at Tampa too. You must win one on the road from Tampa. You cannot go down into a 3-1 hole, even holding home ice for the final 3 in a best of 7. If you make this a situation where Tampa has any chance of closing out on home ice, you will get closed out. Tampa is better than Nashville. You're better than Nashville too, but without Nino Niederreiter, the challenge just got that much more difficult. This is not an option for Carolina. This is not you can go out there, lose 2, and then go stay. You will not sweep Tampa Bay on home ice down in Tampa. All right, they're better than that. Now, I would say the same thing the other way too, right? Like if I was on the air in Tampa right now, I wouldn't be saying that this is a must-win for the Lightning, but I would say, look, you're probably not going to sweep Carolina on home ice. It's probably not going to happen, right? It's probably not going to happen, but you will not do it to Tampa down in Tampa. Tonight is a must-win. If the Canes go down 0-2, as well as they've been playing, as well as Nedeljkovic has been in goal, as well as that front line has created opportunities, if you do not start finishing, because they had opportunities in game 1. I watched bits and pieces of the replay this morning. If you, as well as you've been playing, do not go out there and absolutely give it to Tampa and win game 2 and you fall 0-2, the series is over. The series is over. And a team that was expected to be a Stanley Cup final will make an early second round exit. All right? This is must win for the Canes. It is not an option. Drop this game tonight and your season is over. 844-477-3776. Caniac fans want to know where you stand on this game. Agree or disagree that this is a must win? At ESPN, I want to hear Rob Brown's lock bets on the NBA and NHL playoffs. I'll give you some locks. Coming up later on the show. Stay tuned for that. But for now, let's take a break. One more segment in this hour, and then an hour to go after that. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Hit the quick break. Zoe's in charge. I'll be right back. I've gotten 5 requests to see the Run DMC video. You're turning me into a star, Alonzo. You're basically my Flava Flav now. One minute. Did you hear what I said a second ago? Alonzo can't hear me right now. Or he's ignoring me. One or the other.
Insurers. Real, unfiltered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. Wrap it up. Hour number 2 right here on ESPN Upstate. Great to be back with you. Long weekend. I hope you guys all had a great Memorial Day weekend. I know we didn't really get a chance to say it on Friday, so even though the holiday is past, I will say this now. First and foremost, I hope you got the opportunity. I mean, I know that it is, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine. I know that Memorial Day is a 3-day weekend where we like to go out and barbecue or sit out on the water or whatever we want to do just to relax and enjoy. And I had a friend of mine got into a conversation on Sunday before our show because on Saturday night, you know, I wished the crowd a happy Memorial Day weekend, and they said to me, you know, it's not a happy day, but it is because the folks who gave their lives in uniform did so that we could enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, to be able to sit and barbecue and relax and enjoy. That is what America's about, and that's what the folks who signed up to protect and serve and gave their lives to do so. That's the reason we did it, and so we honor the memory of those. So to those of you in the past who have given your lives, we'll never stop being grateful. And those of you that are family members of someone who sacrificed their lives in the name in the defense of freedom, thank you to you for your sacrifice and for understanding what that sacrifice was about. Hour number 3 is around the corner on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3.
An Odyssey station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN.
QC Kinetics in the first break.
Outstanding. Oh, back-to-back QCs in one day. Love it.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show, the money hour, the third hour, the best hour gets going now. Welcome back, upstate South Carolina. How do you do? Great to be with you again. I am Rob Brown, the great one. Lonzo, back in the network studio in charge of button switches, levers, knobs, gears, pulleys, willies, fulcrums, strings, levers, I don't know, all the stuff. Lonzo's in charge of all the stuff. My job is to sit here on the couch at the Casa de Love, as sound, as seductive and sultry as I do, with this gravelly voice, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. I am back in the saddle after a long 4-day weekend. By the way, a huge thanks to Cole Bryson for filling in on Friday afternoon.
Don't thank him. Don't thank him. He doesn't need your thanks.
Okay, I will thank you, Cole. I will thank you personally for filling in and allowing me the chance to go sit on the beach in Destin and have a little rum and enjoy my life. Lonzo said that he could have done it all without you. So, next time things get squirrely, Lonzo said he'll just do the whole damn show by himself.
Not what I said, but that's fine. But yeah, you don't need to thank him, because we expect good work, and he did a good job. Or an adequate job. He did an adequate job. I wouldn't say good. Adequate. That's a good word.
Ladies and gentlemen, since I've been here, I don't think there's anybody that's been quite as good as building up personality as Lonzo. I mean, he can make anybody feel like they are just an NBA All-Star.
I'm the kingmaker.
Yeah.
Right over here. Yeah. That's me.
Well, I mean, Lonzo can just make you feel like $1 million when he talks about you and how good you are at your job. You got to love that, right? You got to love it. No, thanks, Cole, for filling in on Friday. He did a great job. I actually got to listen to a little bit of it down there on the beach. Fantastic stuff. But I am so thrilled to be back. So, sometimes you just got to recharge the batteries. You know what I mean? You got to get back. You got to get back to you. And I love the mountains, and I love the craft beer here, but I'm a rum on the beach guy at heart. And to be able to sit back and play some rock and roll music and have a pina colada and watch the sunset over Destin was, dude, I came back here with a renewed sense of vigor.
I got to say, the ocean does call to you. As someone who's landlocked most of their lives and got to go see the ocean for the first time, it's like, man, this is awesome. It's indescribable, and hopefully I will be visiting there myself very soon.
Wait. I was being kind and courteous to Cole. And now Steven has popped up to said that Cole mocked my grandma pictures on the wall. Is that accurate, Lonzo? And more importantly, how much did you participate in that conversation?
That is not accurate. Someone brought it up and I described them. I don't believe Cole participated in making fun of said pictures. More than likely it was just me.
So I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that even when I was not here, the listeners still called in.
Yes, they did.
In to mock me, even when I was not here to defend myself from them.
Yeah. Cole didn't know, so you can't put that on him. And I was just joking about Cole anyway. I love Cole, awesome dude. But yeah, he had no idea. He did read the text though. So I mean, and I can't remember the exact text, but it was something about your photos. You know, I was joking with my wife yesterday, saying that pretty soon things may be going back to normal around here, and just to make you feel at home, we have some beach type prints at home, and I thought about bringing them in and putting them on your section of the office.
So at this point, just because of the listeners, I might bring these pictures and hang them in the studio. I may very well bring the grandma pics from the Casa de Love and hang them in the studio for the stream.
Well, all I can say is as the years went on, the threat of encroachment onto those walls have been there, and the bareness of those walls have really bothered me. There was an emptiness there, like the emptiness of your chair, and I had thought of just filling that space because you weren't here with reminders of you, and beach type pictures would have taken care of that.
We have the Griffey cardboard cutout. I think maybe I just get us a Rob Brown cardboard cutout. Is it egocentric to buy yourself in a cardboard cutout?
We had a Harry Connick Jr. cutout that just managed to find its way into people's studios at night on occasion. So if the Rob Brown cutout were here, you would be on every station eventually.
All right, a lot of stuff we got to get to in the money hour of the show here. We talked in the last segment. Look, the Hurricanes have to win tonight. It's not an option. Really, I believe that. They must win tonight. You cannot go down 0-2 in home ice to Tampa. Tampa's a dangerous hockey team. And have to do it without Nita Ryder is going to be a massive challenge for the Canes. It can be done, though. It can be done. He has come up in some big spots, but it's not been like he's had the team on its back in his entirety, right? He's had good ice time, but it's not like he's carried the team. But tonight is a must-win even without him. They do not have an option. They must win this game. You go down 0-2 and have to go down to Tampa. I'm not saying the sweep's in play, but the sweep's in play. To give Tampa that level of confidence and belief in themselves and then send them back to Tampa to play, I got nothing, man. I got nothing for you. You have to win tonight. It's not an option, unfortunately. We also talked a little bit about the NBA playoffs, and I want to go over some winners and losers so far in these NBA playoffs. Things I've liked, things I have not liked through the weekend so far. The Clippers lost at home in the first two, 2-0 in the hole after a pair of home losses. But in game number 3, back in Dallas, the Mavs ran out to a 19-point lead in the first quarter. And it appeared off the go that one of LA's two teams in the NBA playoffs would be done. Would be donezo already, but instead, the Clippers actually turned it on. Kawhi Leonard has been fantastic. 33 points a game, 8.5 boards a game, 2.5 threes a game, shooting 47 to 63. The dude has been good. It's been good. The Mavericks shot the lights out in LA, but they just weren't that good. Now, Luka is dealing with a nerve injury in his neck that clearly hampered him in game number 4. And Kristaps Porzingis, who was supposed to be the number 2 option behind Luka, just has been a question mark. Has just been a question mark so far. 3 days ago, it looked like the Clippers season was over. But now they are back to level. We are 2-2 in that series, and they have home court advantage in a best of three. Best of three, and the Clippers get 5 and 7 back in LA. I got to tell you, man, Kawhi Leonard is a stud. And even Paul George. Remember, we had the jokes last year in the bubble because Paul George referred to himself as playoff P, right? He's got a persona in the playoffs. He's playoff P. And then he just disappeared entirely, right? Just completely disappeared. He said going into game 3, forget playoff P. You're about to get NBA MVP, Paul George. PG-13 is about to light this thing up. And he showed up. He backed that up. These two guys have been phenomenal. I'm a big Luka Doncic fan. All right, of his play. I think he tends to get a little wrapped up in the diva side of things, right? He can get a little dirty when he needs to. And don't get me wrong, I think there's some level of importance to that in the playoffs. But these Clippers look good. These Clippers look real good. Julius Randle had a breakout regular season with the Knicks, earning him the Most Improved Player award. The MVP chants have been raining on down from Madison Square Garden. Through 4 games against the Atlanta Hawks in round 1, the Knicks forward, by the way, he averaged 24, 10, and 6 on 45.6, 41.1, 81.1 shooting during the regular season. Check out his field goals in the first 4 games against Atlanta. For the guy who was the Most Improved Player of the week, the guy that I believed had finally elevated the Knicks. Game 1, 15.6 of 23 from the floor. Game 2, 15 points, 5 of 16 from the floor. Game 3, 14 points on 2 of 15 from the floor. And game 4, 23 points of 7 of 19 from the floor. He has disappeared, and Atlanta's defense has played good basketball. They have been swallowing up what the Knicks have been throwing at them, no doubt about it. But the Knicks now trail 3-1, face elimination, and Julius Randle is nowhere to be found right now. Look, Trae Young has been stone cold in this series. You go back to game 1 in New York when Trae hit that floater, moving, drawing contact through the air with inside of 2 seconds left to play in the game to give them the go-ahead and the win. Trae Young deserves all the credit from this series, but Julius Randle's taking an L in this one, man. Just taking an L. Dude has been gone in this series so far, and if he didn't step up, all of this resurgence out of the Knicks may just be a flash in the pan. Phoenix Suns, second best record in the entire league during the regular season, and DeAndre Ayton was a big reason why. 22-year-old in his first playoff series, and that dude does not care at all. Through 4 games with the Lakers, he is averaging 19.8, 13.5 boards, is shooting 81% from the field in an era where the center position has basically become nothing more than a guy who eats up space and gets bored. Ayton has been making a case that maybe the 5-man, the traditional dominant inside guy, can still be a strength. Chris Paul has been playing almost the entirety of this series with a shoulder injury that has limited him, but the Suns return home for game 5. They are square 2-2 with the defending champs, and DeAndre Ayton is, if you'll pardon the pun, at the center of this success so far. If you're not watching, Zoe, I don't know about you. I love a dominant big man in the NBA. I love it. Rudy Gobert, not a fan of the dude, but a fan of the way that he plays. Ben Simmons, DeAndre Ayton. We have seen a return to NBA teams locking up a true big man who can demand that NBA defenses rotate back to the middle and open up the floor for Devin Booker and Chris Paul and the like. The dude we haven't even talked about, Nikolai, yet. I love seeing NBA teams recognize that a true 5 is a versatile threat on the floor and not just a guy who's meant to mop up garbage points.
Yeah, these guys can do just about anything. But there's nothing like having a big guy underneath the rim going, don't bring that stuff in here. I mean, just swatting stuff away, being so dominant to the point where you have to go away from him. I love seeing that.
Yeah, and Ayton's been that guy. Speaking of taking L's, the Miami Heat, finals appearance last year and this year swept in the first round. Look, I know that the reaction's going to be to go ahead and chalk up last year's run through the bubble as a fluke. But I think there's a little more than that. The guy that I have to ask questions about is Jimmy Butler, though. Sensational in the regular season, was in all-NBA recognition and deserved it, but he just disappeared. 14.5 points a game, 31.5% shooting from the floor. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, both breakout stars in the bubble run, and both of them basically disappeared, as did Duncan Robinson. They swung Victor Oladipo. It didn't pan out. The other parts of the supporting cast, like Trevor Ariza and Andre Iguodala, basically look like old guys. I got to tell you, for a team that was in the NBA Finals, it is weird to go from an NBA Finals one year to just blowing it up the next year. But the Heat are there. On the flip side, how about the Milwaukee Bucks? They got to be breathing a sigh of relief, right? They had a nightmare scenario, another disappointing playoff exit, followed by the talk of Giannis Antetokounmpo leaving Milwaukee via free agency. Instead, Giannis went ahead, re-upped on a long-term extension before the start of the regular season, swept the Heat in round one, the only team to get a sweep. Milwaukee not only got revenge on the team that eliminated them in the bubble last year, but they finished off an opponent after going up 2-0, which the Bucks failed to do against the Raptors 2 seasons ago. Drew Holiday, look, when Drew showed up, coming out of New Orleans and going to Milwaukee, I told you, Drew Holiday paired with Giannis Antetokounmpo was a nightmare. And he looked good to make it happen. Chris Middleton stepped up. I mean, the Bucks went from a team that I absolutely put up as a big fat question mark coming into these playoffs. A team, can they do it? Can they do it? Can they take the next step that they have failed to do the last 2 years with Giannis playing at NBA MVP levels? All of a sudden, they did. Look, it's one series against an underwhelming Miami Heat team. But Lonzo, momentum is incredibly important in the NBA playoffs. And for them to be the only team that got a sweep in round one, get a little rest for the weary, get recouped, let Drew Holiday continue to work with Giannis to be that defensive punch that they didn't have last year. All of a sudden, Milwaukee Bucks out of the East look like they might be the odds-on favorite, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, going into this, everyone would have said it's the Brooklyn Nets with all the guys that they have on that team, all the stars they have on this team. So you think Milwaukee has a shot against Brooklyn if it comes down to those two? They absolutely do. And sweeping, what it does, it gives you rest. While other teams are still playing, you can sit back, you can nurse your injuries and be able to scout your potential opponent. So, I mean, good on them. But can they get it done? Can they make it all the way to the NBA championship? We'll see.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment, one NBA GM made a comment over the weekend that I have to ask, A, was he right? And B, more importantly, if this type of opinion gets out in today's NBA, could it doom a team? We'll address that when we come back on The Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Our friends at QC Kinetics are here to help you. What do I mean by that? Well, listen, you have a day-to-day life, right? Yes, you do. You're a person. We all do. And if you're like me and you're getting to the point where because of the stress that you have put your body through over the years, you start to get these aches, you start to get these pains, you start to feel like things hurt when they shouldn't hurt. And there's just not much you can do about it. Just not much you can do about it. Well, now there is. You can go see our friends at QC Kinetics. They offer non-surgical regenerative therapies that work at a biologic level. You have tissue inside of all of your joints that allow those joints to rotate and twist and turn the way you need to do, well, basically anything, whether it's recreational stuff like going golfing, whether it's work. If you got to climb around on the floor and pick up heavy boxes, you need that connective tissue to be full and healthy so that your joints don't hurt and it doesn't get in a spot where you are just in pain. That's what QC Kinetics does. They help to restore that connective joint tissue. They help your body to heal it and repair it faster. And they do it without you having to get sliced and diced open so that you can feel better faster. But if you want to take advantage, you've got to call our friends at QC Kinetics. Go to their website at qckinetics.com, QCKINETIX.com. You can read all about the science. You can learn about the science behind it and how it works, or just give them a call. Mention the Rob Brown Show and let them get you on the way to feeling better, faster, healthy, naturally. Call 864-448-3772 for that free consultation. 864-448-3772. It's our friends at QC Kinetics in Greenville and Asheville.
AutomotiveMap.com.
Patrick Mahomes just said his goal, though, was to be the first NFL team to go 20-0.
Nothing wrong with having that goal.
Oh, man.
Probably not going to happen, but, we've seen it almost happen. And some of us were alive when it did, well, not that many games, but saw an undefeated season.
Somebody just threw up a really interesting theory on, somebody said, because by now, ordinarily, Alonzo, by now the next year's Madden cover would have dropped, right? They would have dropped, and they haven't dropped the Madden cover. And somebody said they bet that they're hiding the cover of Madden 2022 because it was supposed to be Rodgers with a Packers uniform, and they can't put that out yet.
Well, it would make sense, MVP, putting him on there. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Can't wait to see if that's the reason. I saw Mahomes also had said, I didn't read the article, that he wanted Aaron Rodgers in the AFC West.
Hey, man, I respect wanting to go against the best.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. Twice a year, maybe more than that. If you both teams make it to the playoffs, yeah, that'd be great. Except for the fact that he'd be with Denver and I'd have to root against him. Not that I'm, a huge fan of his, but I don't root against him. But if he goes to Denver, then he's the enemy. One minute. Saw Dan Mullen gets raised an extension. You'll get to hear it about it for about
more Dan Mullen, hooray.
You're going to get to hear that for 4 hours coming up. 30 seconds.
Check my mailbox, see my flag. I'm excited about my flag.
Hey, did you see what Kofi and Woods were wearing last night?
Yeah, dude, they look sick.
Yes, they did.
That was sick. I'm gonna watch
really
it after
cool.
the show today, but it looks sick.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolling on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with the 844-477-3776, 844-GSPN, GSP ESPN. Text us at 71307 on the Ingles Market text line. I want to, real quick, I want to finish up what I was saying at the end of the last hour. Look, I know we all had Memorial Day, and I had a conversation on, I think it was Saturday. I think it was Sunday, actually. It doesn't matter. With a friend of mine, because I said on stage at one of our shows, hey, look, happy Memorial Day. And somebody said to me, well, Rob, it's not a happy holiday. It's a holiday of mourning and grieving those we've lost. And I agree that it is a holiday to honor the men and women who have put on the uniform and given their lives from the days of the Revolution all the way through the wars that have been fought in recent memories to continue to help strengthen the bonds of democracy that we share with our allies around the world, and to help to protect and defend this country that we all very much know and love. And you know, yeah, we have our problems still. There's no doubt that this country still has its issues, but I wouldn't live anywhere else, right? And yes, we mourn and we reflect on those that have given their lives in that uniform so that we can live Memorial Day, which is why I think it's important in some degree to celebrate. Years ago when I was writing, I was in high school, 2001, when 9/11 happened, I wrote an article for, and this is kind of where this viewpoint started for me. Like 2 weeks after 9/11, there was this big debate and discussion about whether or not we should play high school football. And our school, Choctawhatchee High School, was set to play Niceville High School, one of our in-county rivals. And I wrote a column for our school paper that said, look, at the end of the day, we should celebrate. We should celebrate all that it is to be an American and all the benefits and privileges that come along with living in this great country. And because people want to take that from us. That's what they want to take. And to not celebrate, to not do what we do, to not have the burgers on the grill and the beers in the ice chest and the sun in the sky and the tank tops on, is to get rid of. And I think that, to me anyway, the Memorial Day weekend, and the reason I took the extra day off to go celebrate Memorial Day, and I usually do every year, is because to me, there is no better way, to me, and it's subjective, but there is no better way to appreciate the lives lost under the flag and in the uniform of the United States Armed Forces than to go do the things that they did or the things that they went to defend in the process of giving their lives. I think it's important. And it's, I think that for me anyway, that is the best way for us to show that gratitude and that the appreciation that we have for those who have given their lives. It is to play killer American rock and roll music and to eat hot dogs and hamburgers on the grill out in the sunshine and to enjoy the freedoms that we have in this country that were earned with blood. They were. Those freedoms were earned with blood. The blood of those heroes that laid down their lives in service of this country. It is a time and a place to show appreciation for what they did and who they were, and the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice that they paid so that we could do what we love to do. So, I think there is a time for reflection and mourning and grieving for those lives that were lost. And I would send out a special message to the families of those service members who were lost in the line of duty. I cannot imagine that Memorial Day is anything less than a very painful memory of the loved ones that have been lost. Those folks who have lost their lives in the name of service are brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and mothers and fathers and husbands and wives and left people behind in the name of that service and that sacrifice. We celebrate them as well. And we will be forever grateful as Americans for those Americans that laid down their lives in the name of service and sacrifice to and for this country. So I hope that gratitude is recognized, to the families and the friends of those who lost their lives. Thank you for that sacrifice and for letting us be Americans and do what we love to do and celebrating this country. I think that for me is what that weekend was about. It's a weekend that every year I take an extra day off and try to make it a celebration of the freedoms and the liberties and the democracy and all the privileges that come along with being an American. So again, I think it is. Yes, it's a sad holiday in reflecting upon those who in a perfect world would not have had a reason to lay down their lives, but they did. They heard the call, they answered it in a way that the vast majority of us can't and would not and did not. And we will be forever grateful. And to me, I show that gratitude by celebrating the things that are uniquely American about living in this country. So I think that's where I come from. And I hope that was shown over this weekend. Let's do this. Let's take one more quick break. When we come back in just a minute from right now, a couple of things I want to get to, a couple of quick hits, including a moment from a wrestling pay-per-view on Sunday night. Look, it didn't change my opinion of an NFL head coach, but I laughed. That and a lot more. Next, Rob Alonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate. From the Ingalls Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate.
Prisma in the last break.
Sweet. So I got to tell you, and I think you'd laugh at you might laugh at this. So the band wears matching t-shirts when we play on stage, right? So on Friday night, we all wore Nintendo characters. On Saturday, I finally talked them into all doing classic wrestling t-shirts, right? So our bassist wore a Hulk Hogan shirt. Our lead singer wore a Roddy Piper shirt. Our guitarist wore a Ricky Steamboat shirt. Our drummer wore a shirt, and I wore a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt. And I had to laugh because I'm really the only one that watches wrestling. The rest of those guys kind of grew up on it, but don't watch it anymore. And by the end of the show, we were all like talking in wrestling voices and cutting promos during the show and whatnot. And two of them were like, I guess I got to start watching wrestling again. I'm winning people over, Lonzo, to the cause.
That's all you can do.
Right?
That's all you can do.
Loved it. It was hilarious.
Now, was this in front of the crowd when you were doing it?
We were
okay.
Yeah, we're like,
all right.
Like between shows, I'd be like, I can't do it now because my voice is gone. But like I was introducing songs and the band members and whatnot in a Macho Man impression. And we had people coming up after like, dude, that was hilarious. It was great.
1 minute.
On ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate, heading toward the final hour of the show. Urban Meyer, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are owned by the Khan family, who also own and run All Elite Wrestling. And, over the years, there's been some bleed over between those two organizations. Last year, they had a stadium stampede match where, long story short, they turned the wrestlers loose to wrestle around TIAA Stadium down there in Jacksonville. Well, they did it again this year with Chris Jericho's faction, the Inner Circle, taking on the faction of MJF Pinnacle. And at one point, I actually haven't gotten to watch the event yet, Zoe, because I was playing that night. But the clip has been making its way around the social media circles where MJF and Chris Jericho ended up in Urban Meyer's office inside of TIAA Bank Field, where Charlie Strong, a member of Herb's staff, and Herb were sitting behind a desk doing, I assume, football-related activities. When these two guys busted down the door, ended up in the office, Charlie Strong is tossing Chris Jericho footballs to beam off the side of the noggin of MJF, and then he looks at Urban. Urban Meyer looks at him awkwardly, picks up his laptop, hands it to Jericho, who then proceeds to wallop MJF with Herb's laptop. I'm going to say straight up, Lonzo, I am not an Urban Meyer fan. I don't like the guy. I think he's full of crap the majority of the time. I just don't think he's a good dude. That being said, having to draw a line between wrestlers and wrestling, the people who portray characters on TV, is something I've gotten very, very good at over the years. All right. Some of my favorite wrestling characters, like Ultimate Warrior, were not good people away from the ring, but you separate the art from the artist. I have elected to create, in my mind, Lonzo, Urban Meyer, the AEW cameo character from Urban Meyer, the bad dude / football coach. And I am here for Urban as a character on AEW to occasionally run into matches, hand foreign objects to his favorite wrestlers, and then disappear to go back to coaching football. It was hilarious.
The only way this could have been better, and by the way, Urban played it so well, like he was completely surprised that they were in the office, and just the way he handed out, it was really good. The only way this would have been better for me, and this probably will surprise some people, is if Trevor Lawrence would have been in there and Jericho handed the balls to him to hit MJF with. That would have been better.
I kind of would have expected Herb to go full heel, right? Just full bad guy. MJF and Jericho come in. MJF is getting beat down, and Herb picks up a Jags helmet and slams Jericho with it to give MJF. I would have expected Herb to go full bad guy, just to he knows people don't like him, right? It's no surprise to him that people don't like Herb. I would have expected him to go full heel, but if he's gonna go full baby, I am totally fine with Herb just like call it. I want Herb at some point to be at a Dynamite show, have the good guy be taking a beating, and then like pull up a coaching card, talk into a headset, and out comes Tim Tebow to deliver a spear to MJF. You know what I mean? Like I want
by the way,
coaching wrestlers.
But then we get a bunch of whining. Tim Tebow doesn't deserve his chance to be in AEW. Why didn't they pick a different football player to do it? You get that. But out of all the football players, I mean, aside from some offensive linemen and stuff, as jacked as Tebow is right now, him coming out and hitting a spear, that would be amazing.
I gotta say, I saw a video of him from OTAs. The dude's in shape.
Yes, he is.
He didn't show up not ready. He's ready. Look, if Gronk can get in there and do it, Tebow can do it. All right? If Gronk can do it, Tebow can do it.
You know, other than on the mic, I'm not sure either one of them should ever be on the mic in wrestling, but I think Tebow would be a better wrestler.
Here's what I want. I want Herb at Dynamite, not on color, but sitting next to JR at the play-by-play table with his coaching headset and his play card. And I want him calling plays for a faction. Let him be the head coach of the Inner Circle and like be calling plays into Santana and Ortiz when they're in a tag match. Give me that character, and maybe, just maybe, Herb might win me over a little bit. Maybe, just maybe. I still won't like him, but wrestling character Urban Meyer I can get behind.
See, I see him sending in signals to Hager since he has the football background. Okay. Yeah, that would make some sense. But yeah, I would love that. That would be awesome. As long as it's like a here and there thing and not all the time, because the novelty will run out on it. But the headset thing would be pretty funny.
Give me, not Tim Tebow, give me the athlete today that you think will be the best professional wrestler when his career's over. Who's the athlete that could step into the ring the day after he retires and be an entertaining professional wrestler? Who's the guy?
But, oh man, see, that's hard because there are so many guys out there that are really good on. Because my first thought is not, are they in shape to do it? Because they're professional athletes. They're all in shape. So it's who has the mic skills to be able to handle that kind of work. Although you can always throw in a manager to take care of that, a la Bobby Lashley's manager. But still, I don't know. That's a hard question.
I have the answer for you. It's Taylor Loewen of the Titans. He is the ones, though, that at the Preds-Canes game.
All right, I got a guy after you're done.
All right, so at the Preds-Canes game number one, Taylor is an offensive lineman, so he's a big boy. And he loves the Preds, right? And he loves Nashville. They call him Daddy Nashville because he's just everywhere, right? Before the game starts, they put him up on the screen and he stands up and he's got his Preds jersey on and he's like holding his adorable little daughter and he's like waving to the crowd ever so gently. He's like, hello, it's wonderful to be back. And then in the third period, it's a square hockey game. They go back to him. Dude is ripped off the shirt. He is stone cold chugging like 3 beers at a time, flexing into the cam and losing his mind. That dude would be a great professional wrestler, and I hope he shows up.
I know we keep going with tight ends here, or I do. George Kittle's an obvious answer.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I would like to see, the Kelsey brothers.
Oh, okay. Travis Kelce could be entertaining.
So his brother, too.
Yeah, give him a tag team. I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, bring in the Kelsey brothers.
All right.
They're probably ready to go right now.
They might be. Kittle's the right answer, though. George Kittle. The fact that George Kittle does wrestling celebrations after touchdowns, like that dude's ready today. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we wrap it all up with Twitter Trending Topics. Diesel joins us as our guest host for Twitter Trending Topics. Say goodbye, Lonzo.
Goodbye, Lonzo.
We're back after this to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Where's mine?
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Bring out the official healthcare providers of the Gamecocks and the Tigers right here in the Upstate. And they can be the official healthcare provider for you and your family as well. They have over 2,400 healthcare providers within their network. So there is a doctor that is right for you, a doctor for you and your family that you will trust to give you the best care. And on top of that, they have got locations all around the Midlands and the Upstate. So if you, hey, look, you need to take care of your health, but you've got work and a family and a life that you have to run. They want to make it convenient. So they put locations all over the place. And on top of that, if that's too much and you just can't get out to get to a doctor's office, you can go to their website at prismahealth.org, and you can schedule with them. You can schedule with them a virtual visit. That's right. You can schedule a virtual visit where you can meet your doctor face-to-face over the computer so that you can fit it into your schedule. That's what they want to do. They want to make taking care of your health not just your priority, but they want to make it easy for you as well. Go to their website at prismahealth.org, to learn how they can be the official healthcare provider, not just of the Gamecocks, not just of the Tigers, but of you and your family as well. It's our friends at Prisma Health right here in the Upstate. About you, man? Get anything good?
Yeah, Saturday. Let's see. Saturday went to a house party. Sunday drove up to Lake Illinois up in the mountains and took a kayak out.
Nice.
Met a buddy that I'd never met before. He moved here. He moved here from Texas because he found Greenville on Instagram, and he and his wife just decided to come up and check it out. He's a fisherman,
Okay.
so he was looking up like places to fish and people who fish in Greenville, and he found my stuff, and we ended up just connecting, and yeah. So we actually met the dude, he and his wife, on Sunday,
Nice.
and then yesterday was nothing but yard work.
That sounds miserable.
It wasn't supposed to be such a big deal, but we bought something at Home Depot that turned into the thing that dominated the entire afternoon.
Right.
And that was not fun.
I hate yard work. Like I know, like Lonzo loves yard work. My mom loves doing it. I don't get it. Like I hate doing yard work. I get the feeling of accomplishment when you're done and your yard looks great.
Yeah.
But like I can pay somebody else and my yard will also look great.
Well, the question is, are you a DIY kind of guy? And the answer clearly is no.
No. There are some things that I like doing myself. There are some things I like doing myself, but not much.
See, Raphael's the same way. Ralph is like that dude is like, I'll just pay somebody else to do it. All right, we got 10 seconds left and put you back in my put me back in your ear. God's sakes.
Your piece. Grab it today. Only at your DQ. Happy tastes good.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Here's what's happening on the internet. Hello, it's Diesel. Let's see what Rob Brown knows about it. Hashtag Burning Crusade is trending.
Hello, Diesel. How are you?
Hello.
So good to talk to you again. The old band back together. I don't know what Burning Crusade is. I have no idea. I'm going to, off the top of my head, assume it's probably a video game reference because that sounds like a very, and I'm allowed to say this because I am one, Diesel. It sounds very much like a D&D or Warcraft kind of thing.
It is, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
It's a new expansion for World of Warcraft that released today.
Did you ever play World of Warcraft?
Nope.
I didn't either. I have friends who for a while, Warcraft was their personality. You know what I mean? Like you ever met somebody like that? Like a thing they do is their personality. It's just them. I play Dungeons and Dragons because I'm a loser. And I've got to me, it's like a fun thing you do for 2-3 hours once a week. And then I've got other buddies that you go into their house and they have D&D stuff hanging on the wall. Like it's their whole life.
Yeah, but you've asked me 10 times to play Call of Duty with you. So
yeah, but that's awesome. But you're not gonna
same.
You're not gonna walk into my house and find Warzone memorabilia hanging on the wall as if it was a decoration. It's a fun thing to do to de-stress for an hour or two a night with the boys. And on top of that, if I ask you to play Warzone, Diesel, you can pretty much bet there's a cold bourbon sitting next to me while I do it.
Fantastic. Next Twitter trending topic is I lost it here.
Preparedness is just off the charts for Diesel today.
Hashtag toast me is trending.
Toast me, yeah. Oh, okay, so I think this is what this is. There's a thing on Twitter where people will put up pictures of themselves and tell people roast me, right? Make fun of me. And it's fun. I've done it before. It's fun. People come up with some good stuff. And as long as you can take it in good humor when people make fun of you, then it can be a fun little thing and a good way to blow off stress. Well, somebody decided that they were very confused for a minute, Diesel, and they thought that the internet and social media was a place for positivity. There's no room for that garbage.
Yes, it is. Today is officially hashtag say something nice day, and the internet's like, nah, screw that. So now hashtag toast me is trending.
Go ahead, Diesel. Say something nice and positive.
Rob, you have a very manly and tight physique.
Now you're just lying. Now you're just lying. I have the physique of a can of biscuits that busted open before they were ready to cook.
I know. I saw your photos from the weekend.
Shut up, Diesel.
Next up, Warner Brothers is trending.
Warner Brothers is, of course, a studio that has brought you many classic over the years.
Like the Animaniacs.
By the way, I saw the dude who was the voice in the Animates in a concert one time, Diesel. Wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
Wildly entertaining. That being said, I have no idea why Warner Brothers is trending today.
Warner Brothers is trending because Warner Brothers, AT&T, Warner Media, and Discovery are merging. Yay, more giant corporations getting larger, and now so much more is just under one roof.
I get it, and I'll never be in the game of companies that have billions of dollars. It's not my thing, and I'm just poor. But the problem I have is that, and this is especially as you're and as a Marvel fan, I'll say this about Disney, the problem with it is that you end up having a very small group of people who they just know what's best, right? We had this discussion last week because Amazon purchased, oh God, what was it? Anyway, they purchased the studio that has the rights to James Bond, right? And the first thing they talked about doing, Diesel, was they want to create a James Bond television series. They want to make a James Bond show. And people are like, no, James Bond is not, like, you need movies to tell the James Bond stories. And people got very mad. I don't know if it'll work or not, but when you have just a couple of people who are in control, especially when they have a desire to protect the logo more than they do the properties, right? Like, that was one of my big things was I want some comic book movies from Marvel that are dark and gritty, right? Like the Iron Man, I was in Iron Man 2, which is the one where he's dying the whole movie, right? Yeah. That's a relatively dark movie that I don't know that Disney would let Marvel make. And it just concerns me for the future of some of these properties when they end up in those spots.
Well, something like that works if you make a large distinction between what your television shows or your series are versus what your movies are. You know, we had WandaVision, which was a really strange show, and most people didn't get it for the first like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
They're like, what the hell are we watching? This is strange. I don't know what's happening, what's going on. And then it sort of morphs in and makes sense. You couldn't do that with a movie because you have to be a little more linear and straightforward.
Yep.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, probably could have been a movie. It didn't seem that different.
It was a movie.
Yeah, it didn't seem that different from what they were doing in the films. Yeah, so it didn't have to be a series.
Some of these big studios fall into formulas, right? They start writing formulas. They have a formula. In order to be successful, you must do X and then Y. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like Walt Disney for years had a code of rules where if you were going to make a Disney movie, you had to follow these code of rules. And it was like the protagonist had to act this certain way. The bad guy was never allowed to be sympathetic, et cetera, et cetera. And it worked for years in Disney's golden era. But now that the world is a little more real for people, like we don't always want it cut and black and white, good guy, bad guy. We want some story. We want some drama. And
that's
when you put people all under one roof, you lose that a little bit.
That's why Thanos is the greatest villain in comic book movie history, because you can sympathize. You can understand why he's doing what he's doing. Yeah, he's a jerk. He's murdering like half of the galaxy, but there's only a finite number of resources. What he does is going to actually benefit the other half that stays alive.
What was the Big Lebowski quote? You're not wrong. You're just an a-hole.
Okay, last one. We got about a minute left to knock this one out. Naomi Osaka.
Yeah, we talked about her earlier in the show. I'll ask you, Diesel, since you're here. Do you believe that athletes have a obligation? Should it be an obligation for athletes to speak to the media, or was Naomi Osaka correct in saying that her mental health was being, to the point it impacted her game, negatively affected by having to sit in front of a press conference and answer questions? Do you feel like there's an obligation for athletes to speak?
I think they should be obliged to. Should they be required to? No. If you want to look at it like this and say, hey, you've got X number of events per year, you get to say, I'm out on 5 of them. You get to take the day off on 5 and say, you know what? I'm just not going to speak to the press after this. I'm totally fine with that. If you're having a bad day, if you don't want to do it, use one of your 5 outs.
Fair. Listen, Diesel embraces solutions. He's the John Taffer of sports media. That's it for the show. Appreciate Diesel coming in to cover for Zoe. Back tomorrow to do it all over again, and hopefully I'll sound like a regular person tomorrow. I'm Rob Brown. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great day, everybody. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later.
ESPN.
Those of you on the stream, appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then.